Hi there, I'm Stan Baker, one of your hosts for our podcast, Circle Forum. And in this episode with Shelley Steele and Steve Young, we discuss an article published in October of 2022 by Dr. Jess Whitley of the University of Ottawa and Dr. Beth Saggers of Queensland University of Technology. And it's called, and I love this title, School Attendance Problems Are Complex and Our Solutions Need to Be as Well. While attendance and absenteeism were a concern before COVID, these authors point out that it's complex, both the reasons and the solutions. The solutions suggested will be the topic of our next 4 podcasts. And guess what? It's an ABCD. A, for academics and well-being. B, building relationships. C, climate of the school. And D, data needed. What we discussed this week is academics and well-being from a restorative leadership perspective. How can restorative and relational approaches assist with the flexible solutions to this increasingly complex concern of student attendance? At the end of this episode, be sure to visit our website, www.restorative.ca, our other website, www.circleforum.ca. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Circle Forum. Now, let's head over to the conversation already going with Shelley, Steve, and me, Stan.
One thing that piece of the article talks about is an integrated approach. So when we're talking academics and well-being, they're not two standalones. It can't just be supporting in an academic area and not being concerned about well-being, or doing a lot of support and well-being and wondering why our math scores are lower. It really has to be integrated. And we know, whether it's academics or anything, when you feel positive about what you're doing or you feel some success, that supports your well-being as well. Doesn't matter what age you are. That's what happens.
And I find it interesting in the article, she differentiates well-being versus the academic. And well-being, there's a sort of a short list there: mental health and addiction services, lunch programs, identity-based clubs, opportunities for movement and physical activity. Some of those are the extracurricular things that we always talk about, and those extracurriculars that pull kids into school or keep them attached to school because it's something they're really interested in. But not all of them are extracurricular. We've struggled so much with extracurriculars in the last 10 to 15 years in schools as they dwindle. So a lot of these are starting to become services that are being provided by school boards, but they're not provided to the extent that obviously we feel they should be. And you look at the recent struggle with the labor in Ontario, they would obviously want more of these things. And I think we could all agree there should be more. Who pays for it? That's the next question. But mental health and addiction service, we could put all those things in to support kids. But what this article is saying, that's great. But if they still are struggling reading and struggling in math, we still have to have that approach to the academic side too. It's not all one, it's not all the other. It's the two things working with each other. And so it's important to recognize that we can't just put it all on one side and expect it to be magically improved kids. I think as money's gotten tight, or as people argue about what's important in education, we all agree that we should support kids when they're academically struggling, but we forget about all those other well-being pieces that need to be supported to the same degree. And unfortunately, the people that provide a lot of those supports are the lowest paid in the system, and we're struggling to meet that needs. We need to change the mindset of the people who make those decisions, who look at education from above and say, you know what, we need to put as much into the mental health and addiction support services and all those well-being things as we put into the academic supports.
It brings to mind a short video that I always love to show from Edutopia on math as a social skill building subject, where the teacher actually integrates circles into the math class and uses different types of circles, fishbowl circles, and problem solving to really build the students' math skills, but also their problem solving and social skills. And absolutely fabulous integration of the two. And my own experience too, in terms of taking circles into math classes where, okay, so how did it go with what you did there? What kinds of things did you find that worked really well in terms of addressing this particular issue? And do you find students volunteering different strategies that work, and others admitting that this didn't work well? And how can you build that kind of culture within a classroom using circles too? In math, I think is
Yeah, I
fabulous.
actually witnessed a circle in a classroom in a grade 3, 4 class doing math. And they were all on the floor. The teacher was down there with them. And it was some kind of quick math activity, right? So they had to respond very quickly. But he strategically put kids that needed extra support beside him. He also then, kids would help other kids beside them or to get the solution. So it was that whole community supporting. So everybody came to the solution, felt good about it. But if they needed extra support or needed to look over to one person, that was okay to do that, right? No, it was quite something to see. And he told me the behaviors in math were greatly reduced by doing that kind of style.
When you think of teaching pedagogy, and for years, everybody's talked about group work. We always did group work. And kids would form their own groups, and it'd be 3 or 4 friends would get together and they form the group. We're all going to their place on Friday night. But restoratively, I've seen it where a teacher will start with a whole circle, determine what the needs are, determine who can provide those needs, and then create the groups from that. Who's struggling with this concept? Who understands this concept? Okay, you two that understand it, can you go with those two who are struggling and help them out? And creating new groups every time there's a new circle. And so in doing that, after a while, when you say, okay, we're doing group work, kids will seek out the kids that they know can help them,
Right.
not just their friends. The problem with group work has always been there's always one kid that does all the work and the rest get the benefit of it. These are group work. This is group work or group circles. It isn't about completing a task or a project. It's just about helping each other along the way. And to that point, it helps build the relationships amongst those kids such that they will ask for help from their friends and they will admit they don't understand something because there's no they don't feel like they're going to be attacked or made or ridiculed because they don't understand something. They just know people are going to help them. What a great way to build a class climate.
And isn't that really what that's how teams are built and healthy teams are built. That we come some people need help, some people have this skill, et cetera. And rather than everybody having the same skills. And we hear over and over again from employers, I need people who can work as a team. There's no point having just a group of the same thinking people working together. It's the people that can work as a team. And that's what you're starting to do by what you described there, Steve.
So when we go back to the article and that we're talking about academics, and we don't always have the adult that can come into the building to work with another kid. So we need to rely on the peers and we need to have creative grouping, if you will, out of a restorative approach that allows students to help students and for that academic piece. And if they're helping them academically, I bet you there's a little bit of mental health and some well-being going on as well that are kind of just coming out of that as well, almost as a serendipitous outcome. But I think it's important that we are creative in how we support academics within our own schools because we don't always have the experts. We don't always have the adult sitting out in the hall waiting to come in and help.
The context of this article, it's the complexity of the situations that prevent us from being the sole person that will solve this problem. We're going to need to draw on others. We're going to need to bring others in. If we are the educator, the teacher, or the person who supports the teacher, we are going to need to learn to identify the complex nature of the problem and then also call in other resources to help us with this because we can't solve this by ourselves. That's what this article says too.
And academics and well-being shouldn't be in competition for each other. That there are a piece of the complexity that needs to happen. Unfortunately, it's often set up like that, but they need to work hand in hand.
You know, we love to talk about integrated approaches, and that had us talking about circles in the staff room and circles in the classroom. And in addition to programs that will assist with academics and well-being, Circles in the Classroom builds an integrated response that's flexible to the needs of individuals and groups. If you want to learn more about circles, check out our website for some free resources, www.restorative.ca. Drop me an email if you want to talk about that a bit more, stan@restorative.ca, and let's integrate our approaches to academics and well-being using a circle. Try it. You might just like it.